laugh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Got a wonderful message for you at this moment, coming to you live from station WEBM. That's wonderful, Eddie B. Marcus, operating smack down from the top of the sky down to wherever you are. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this message is so fantastic you should let it just overwhelm you, like the blood that's flowing through your veins. And when it's done, be sure to like, comment, or subscribe. The message I have for you now is kind of very important, I hope, to you as well. I spend my time talking to you about peace and prosperity and happiness for every individual on the face of the earth. You heard that? Every individual on the face of the earth. To me, that sounds like a superior power. And I know it's not me, so that message must be coming from someplace else. And I say it from a superior power that's of love, because every individual wants to experience peace and prosperity and joy. And everything that seems to be going on in life is to take away from that. And so I'm constantly coming back saying things to you whenever I see something that is directly involved perhaps in that. I think about the church. You would believe, if you listen to the rhetoric, that the church was designed to keep people abreast with the will of God. It's a strange phenomenon. It doesn't operate like other organizations. You know, if you got your city council or your Congress, they say we want to have a meeting on certain issues. They come to that meeting to talk about those issues. Probably plan and strategize if some action is to be taken, whether it's positive or negative. But they discuss it. They give voice to it. And they decide to add or take away. Church doesn't operate that way. I used to be a preacher, and people would come to me at church and after, and they would ask me to pray for them, not just for their health, though they would always want that, but they'd ask you to pray for their bank account, pray for their children in school or their children to go to school, pray for the troubles of the community. All of these kinds of things they would ask you to pray for. And I used to do that until one day a spirit came to me and told me that if these people wanted these things, they would take the necessary action themselves and stop asking some power that they can't see to do it. So I stopped doing that. And I started telling people that if they wanted things done, they had to do it themselves. Now back to what I initially started talking about. Whenever people getting ready to go to church, especially those Orthodox members, they put on some of their best attire. Young people or new generation, they'll just go as they are. But those traditional people, they'll put on their best attire, especially on certain nights, like Friday night and Sundays and some Wednesdays. They'll dress up after taking a shower, put on some smell good, get their hair together, get their purse and their Bible, and they'll go out, get in their transportation or ride with someone, and then they'll go to church. And when they get to church, you'll find that they will have some program about something related to God. And that program would involve somebody having an opening song, some scriptures, maybe from the Old Testament and from the New. Somebody would do a welcome. And they might even take up a goodwill offering right there. Sometimes, not all the time. Then they would have somebody to announce the speaker. And the speaker would get up, possibly, and talk about why they'll assemble there, and pull up some scriptures, and then he'll begin or she'll begin to preach about on those scriptures, and the people will sit and listen. Then there might be another song, or maybe a testimony, another offering, another song, and then they'll dismiss. But then you ask yourself, well, what was the meeting about? And they'll tell you, well, the preacher spoke on Jesus' baptism, anything. And you would say, wait a minute, what does that got to do with anything? I mean, the city council talked about some issues involving the city. The legislature of the state talked about something involving the state, or the Congress about the nation. And you are talking about Jesus' baptism. And you ask yourself, well, you can see what the action at the city level, how it impacted the city, or the state level, how it impacted the state, or the Congress, how it impacted the nation. But how does what took place at the church impact the church, or the community for which the church is supposed to be speaking to? And you ask yourself, it never does. It never even seems as if that's the intention. It's just to get people together, put somebody up before you speaking, so they say they're preachers, say they're doing God's business, and you go, say that you serving God, sing some songs, and come back home and you serve God. Man, I'm telling you, whoever decided to manipulate the church and keep it quiet, they sure had a good job. Because having to grow up in a situation like that, accepting that as the right way because that's what your parents were doing, your grandparents were doing, so it got to be righteous, and now you're doing it. And even when you recognize that there seems to be nothing but a waste of time, you still follow it. And if somebody comes to you and telling you something different, there's no way you're going to accept it. You're going to roll it off. That's got to be anti-God, and you're going to stay the same. But what I can't understand is why people can't read the scriptures for themselves. In the scriptures, it will tell them that Jesus Christ lived on this earth. And that Jesus Christ, according to what the scripture says, was one of the best figures that ever walked on this earth. Had powers that no one else ever had. And in spite of all of that, the government couldn't stand him. Not only couldn't the government stand him, the hierarchy of the so-called purpose of God couldn't stand him. Handed him over to the state, and collectively they together say, we got to get rid of this. This represents something that opposes our program. It opposes what we are about. So this has got to go. And they killed him. And he said to the people, yeah, they're going to kill me because of what I represent, but I'm going to show you a secret. They can't kill what's real, but I'm going to allow them to go through the process. So they went through the process. And it says that 3 days later, he arose with the holes in his hand, in his feet, so nobody would have a question about who it is. And he walked amongst the people. And before he ascended into heaven, it is said that he said to them, and it's amazing how it comes out. He says that I am going to a place and prepare a place for you. In my Father's house are many mansions. He said that. They got a good understanding of that. But I'm going to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you may be also. He didn't say anything about I'm dying for your sin, so you can go on back and continue living under the rules of someone else, because no man can obey two masters. That was clear. But I'm going to prepare a place that where I am, you can be there, you may be also. But I will not leave you helpless. I'm going to send you a comforter. I am going to send you the Spirit that comes from the Father, not from me, but from the Father, that what the Father says, what the Father is about, that spirit that you allow to be in you will reveal to you all that heaven, all that God, all that my message has been about. It will reveal that to you. And you won't need no man to teach you. Because you remember now, the people who were teaching before are the same people that racked him up and put him to the government and got him killed. So you don't have to depend on people like that anymore. You can depend on the spirit that will teach and guide you. Somewhere down there it says, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. Now, this is why people say they have church, they come together. So it would appear to me that since we all got, who say, if it's true, got the Spirit of God in us, when we assemble ourselves, we're going to glorify God by each of us testifying, sharing what good God has brought to us or shown us in our lives and how we've used it and how it has responded to what we have done. This glorifying God and lifting them up, we've come together to share in that. Not to assemble ourselves and have somebody get before us, take a scripture, and start feeding us, start doing to us exactly what the Spirit came to eliminate. The Spirit came to eliminate that. And that what gets up there before you allows you to, over time, to not even understand God well enough so that in America, when the presidential candidates that are put before you are representative of evil, you still don't know what decision to make. You make the same decision of people who don't even go to church. The decision, the lesser of two evils. That's what the folks don't say who don't go to church. But now here you going to church. And that went up there on that pulpit that sent Jesus to the government to be killed has gotten you thinking that it's okay to go and choose a lesser of two evils. My God. And if you want to sing songs or something like that, because, I mean, you're happy, something, sing. That's allowing the Spirit to share amongst you. Not for some turkey to get before you, act like he's got some extra powers. He got something special from God that you don't have. Where did he come from? Somebody say, well, how you going to hear? You don't have a preacher. Well, you got a preacher. What is it? The Spirit. That's your preacher. That's your new preacher. Well, that's if you are serious about the business of heaven and God. If you're serious about that, you should try the Spirit, and the Spirit will determine for you what is true and what is not. The Spirit will do these things for you if you're real, if you're serious. They said the pure in heart shall see God. Now, you see why the church don't see God. They are hypocrites. They're just going through a routine. They're going through the same thing that's been established by tradition. That's why that man sitting in that pulpit preaching. That's tradition. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Where are you going to get the truth from? Not from some turkey sitting up on the pulpit talking about, I got a connection with God. Look at the Pope. I got a connection with God. I'm the God's emissary down here. Preacher, I'm the God. You got to listen to me. Man, shut your mouth. People, wake up. Evil is all across the land. What is that Spirit telling you to do about it? I know what the preacher is telling you to do about it, telling you to sit still. Today might be the day that God has chosen for you. And stand back and let the Lord do his will on you. And everybody can see the greatness of God by what he has done for you while you were sitting and waiting. While you were sitting and waiting, the devil has taken over your whole system and your whole way of life. Change the laws to fit whatever evil one's done. While you're sitting back and waiting, the evil one has stacked the United States Congress. While you're sitting back and waiting, the evil one has stacked the states with its kind of governors. While you're sitting back waiting, the evil one has stacked the Supreme Court with its kind of justices. While you're sitting back waiting, the state and the city have stacked its police force with its kind of policing. while you're sitting back waiting, putting on your clothes, going to church trying to look good. But you can't see that because it's easier, it's simpler, it doesn't require much of you to accept the fact that Jesus is going to come back and deliver you. Didn't deliver those who came, who lived before you. Didn't deliver those who were here at the time that he was here. But he's going to come back and deliver you. Not only is he going to come back to deliver you, he died, gave his life for you. So all of the bull that you get yourself caught up in, you're excused from it. Man, I mean, a parent could tell a child they can get away with it. But the whole nation, the whole of religiosity has bought into that. When you got your evangelicals who are working side by side with evil to make sure that evil gets its stamp on everything. Those traditional religious people who are supposed to be the hardcore sit back and watch all of the evil take place. And their silence gives complacency to it. I saw people getting ready this Friday night to go to church, and I just couldn't sit back. I just couldn't sit and watch television or just have all these thoughts come across me and I don't share them with you. At least let me share them with you. Somebody might be listening. And if nobody's listening, I have done what I can do. I've allowed that spirit inside of me to come through me to present to you what it is saying to me. Maybe it doesn't mean anything to you, but at least I've been obedient to it. And one thing for sure, it's about peace and prosperity and joy and happiness, not just for me, but for every last one of you on the face of the earth. It is not about lying and cheating and stealing and terrorizing and killing and causing war for the masses in behalf of the benefit for some. It's not that. So I feel real good. I know I can't change the world, even though I have in the back of my car a sign in that back window, and it reads, I am going to make America beautiful, with or without your help. Now, it would be amazing if that could happen while I'm living. But even if it doesn't, I know that one day, Martin Luther King said he'd been to the mountaintop. He looked over, he saw the promised land, and we as a people going to get there. So I know that one day, according to that, America will be beautiful. And it will be beautiful by the same truths that he spoke of, that Jesus spoke of, that I speak of. And incidentally, for those of you who like to talk about Dr. King, he used to preach over the pulpit. But he found that the message was not really significant enough for people who just went to church for church's sake. But take it to the streets, to people who were hoping that something was real, more real than what they got out of the church. They had seen the church their whole lifetime. They saw what the church was. And it was nothing when it came down to liberation of the evils and the sins and the pains and the sufferings that they had to endure. It was nothing. So they stayed out. And so this great man of God, led by the Spirit of truth, saw that and came out of the church to take the message to the people. But he didn't just talk, he walked. And as he was talking and was walking, people out in the streets began to walk with him. Oh, it wasn't easy. The evil in the streets were out there trying to throw him to the government to have him killed. And eventually he was killed, but not before. He made a great impact on society. An impact that the church has never made. Let me say it again. An impact that the church has never made. I don't care if you're Catholic, Protestant. I don't care how much you talked about God, how much you talked about Scripture. You weren't talking about what God has said to you. Every time you chose a Scripture, you were talking about what somebody else said about God and your opinion in relationship to that. And he got us sinking straight down the hill. Sinking straight down to hell every day. We get deeper and deeper and deeper in the pit hole of hell. But you go to church, you pay your tithes and offerings, you sing your songs, you do your scriptures, and you sit down and listen to a man tell you something that you should be able to find out from the Spirit yourselves. Spirit won't lie to you. You try it, and we can start climbing up out of this rabbit hole. We can start climbing up to the surface and not stopping there. We just start reaching out for the heavens and bringing what we see and creating it right where we are. And so thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. But that's going to take some doing. It's going to take some changing. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time, ladies and gentlemen. This is my message to you on this Friday evening while everybody else is sitting up in a church. I'm giving this message to you wherever you are. And if you like it, prove it. Start doing it, responding to it. Or make a comment. Or if you think you might want to check it out again, subscribe. Bye-bye.